time could I get? At this time, could I have a motion to return to regular session, please? Second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next, we'll move to floor to the public. We have a couple speakers. The first one is Alexandria Delfino. If you would come up, state your name and address, please.
Thank you so much. Hello. Hi. Did you guys want me to state from address or anything? Okay. My name is Alexandria Delfino, and I live at 17 Harborwood Drive. Am I good to go? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Alexandria Delfino, and 4 days ago I started the petition that you guys have right there as an attempt to show support for us being able to carry around our backpacks. I didn't know what the outcome would be at first, but I'm very grateful that the success exceeded my expectations. In just one day, the petition had over 500 supporters or signatures, with over 40 comments from incoming students, current students, Oswego High School alumni, parents, and even students from other schools around the area. Almost all comments expressed issues with the disorganization that could occur, along with the insufficient time frame provided in between periods. In my own experience, I found it very difficult to visit my locker between classes, especially when my next class is on the opposite end of the school. In middle school, not being able to carry around our backpacks was very easy. All of our core classes are located in the same hallway there. If our school was designed like the middle school, all of our core classes in the same hallway, this idea would be significantly more adaptable. The location of our lockers do not correlate with our year-to-year schedules. The size of the high school is also bigger than the size of the middle school, which makes it harder. So trying to enforce this system or idea into a school that was not based around this idea initially can be really difficult. Time management in a large school, especially for those students who have trouble adapting to larger environments, can turn out to be very stressful for them. If a student shows up late to school, he or she will be even later if they are required to lock up their belongings before first period. With only 5 minutes between classes, most students use this time to visit the restroom or complete another task around the school quickly. Now with the added responsibility of gathering all of our materials, the possibility of these students being late is much more likely. And even if we do show up on time, one of us may forget something and have to go back to his or her locker, which can inconvenience the teacher, the class, and the student. In theory, the idea of practicing time management and encouraging our safety by storing away our backpacks is very, very understandable. But in practice, this solution is unrealistic and can be really difficult to enforce. So on behalf of the supporters and several of my fellow students and their parents and guardians from Oswego High School, we hope you can either reconsider this decision or make changes along with this rule to ensure everybody has the equal opportunity at receiving a successful education. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next is Rama Kawaja.
Hello. My name is Rama Kawaja. Do I have to state my address? No? Okay. While I recognize that your decision to keep our backpacks in our lockers is purely for our safety, I believe it is an inconvenience to us students. Personally, I dislike the fact that we have to repeatedly stop at our lockers. My locker is upstairs and most of my classes are downstairs, so I will have to repeatedly come up and down stairs. Also, my classes are on opposite sides of school, so again, going back and forth. This will make it very difficult for me and others with this issue to find enough time to stop at our lockers. Even with my backpack, I sometimes arrive to class at the very last minute. If I attempt to go to my locker in between classes as well, it is likely that I will be late to most of them. Students will also have trouble after gym. Sometimes 2 extra minutes are needed when changing out of gym clothes, and this usually does not affect attendance, but it will if we are required to also go back to our lockers. It will be especially difficult on the first day of school. Most people spend the first day figuring out which hallways to go down or which stairs to take to get to class. Without our backpacks, we'll have to also worry about when we'll have time to go to our lockers. Instead of just asking which way do I go to get to class, we'll also have to ask, will I be able to stop at my locker and get to class on time? A student may be carrying their geometry materials and English binder, but then realize they need their French folder and notebook. They're unable to carry the supplies required for all 3 classes, but the French class is very far from their English class. They have little time to go to their locker and are frequently late to class. This is a scenario that many students will experience if they are not given the opportunity to use their backpack. With this rule, students would require much more than 5 minutes in between classes. Again, I understand this is to ensure our safety, but it will produce many difficulties. Again, I understand, I'm sorry. There are other ways to attain a safe school environment, such as metal detectors, clear backpacks, or hiring more school resource officers. Thank you for allowing us to voice our opinions. We urge you to reconsider your decision and look at alternative solutions to this problem. Thank you.
Next is Kirsten Bell.
Hello, my name is Kirsten Bell, and I'm going into my junior year at Oswego High School. I've recently been informed of a new policy regarding backpacks and other bags at OHS, and while there are some positive aspects, other students and I believe that the negatives outweigh the positives. One of my concerns is that many students will not be able to get to their classes on time. I know that even with a backpack, I still had some trouble getting to all my classes because they were on complete opposite sides of the building. I do not have time to stop at my locker that often during the day, and I could only carry around so much with me at a time. My backpack also helps keep me and many other students organized. Another concern I have is that students will lose the option of discretion. Female students especially will suffer from this policy because it will be much harder to carry around our personal products. And although we are allowed to carry around small purses for that reason, if we only carry them during certain times of the month, we lose the privacy that many of us prefer. One more concern I have is that there are many other ways to keep the school safe without taking away items that many students rely on. Some of them are routine bag checks, clear backpacks, and metal detectors. Even with this rule, students can still bring weapons and contraband into the building. They can come into the school with the items and either put them in their locker or conceal it somewhere on their person. If bags are still able to come into the building, then whether or not a student carries them around during the school day will not make a difference in the safety of the students and faculty. If this rule does remain, in order to keep students more organized, please allow a longer time in between classes, perhaps 6 to 7 minutes instead of 5, and give students the option to carry open bags, such as tote bags. In closing, I urge you to keep the current rules in place regarding backpacks, as I believe it is the best interest of the students. Thank you very much for your time and for considering our position on this matter.
Thank you. Next is Megan Albright.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Megan Albright, and this will be my 3rd year at Oswego High School. In the 2 years I have been in the high school, the use of my backpack has helped me immensely. In my freshman year, my locker was nowhere near any of my classes. In turn, I counted on my backpack. While it is understandable that not allowing backpacks will allow for prevention of future safety issues, it can become quite an inconvenience. With only 5 minutes in between classes, some students, including myself, struggle to arrive at a class on time. Adding a locker visit into those 5 minutes would very likely cause a student to be late, which would then cause a disruption in the classroom. This will disrupt the class and jeopardize the time spent learning material. Backpacks and bags are also used for students carrying gym clothes or items for sports. Not allowing backpacks to be carried may cause an issue to students. Many students carry their bag to gym class containing their clothes. I would typically put my gym clothes in my school bag and put them in my locker. But I do know people who carry a separate bag of clothes for gym and frequently change their gym clothes, say once a week. If string bags, or any bags for that matter, are not allowed, a student would have to carry their clothes in their hands. Permitting a stop to their locker, I would assume the student would also be holding the material for the next couple classes. Adding shoes and or clothes to that carry is making it much more difficult. I also know students who take their time before school to drop off clothes for their respective sport to the locker room. If the student does not have the appropriate amount of time to do so, they are then forced to carry the bag. If bags are not allowed, the student would be forced to carry the bag or risk being late to their first class in order to make a stop at their locker. This would cause the student to again jeopardize time for learning material. I personally enjoy the privilege to carry a backpack, and my peers have voiced the same opinion. However, if we are unable to carry them, it is understood that there can be alternatives. A little extra time between class periods could help students in a big way. Instead of 5 minutes, maybe 7 or 8, allowing the student to stop at his or her locker. Or the use of an open bag, such as a tote, so that all belongings are visible. I, as well as my peers, do understand the concern, but we would appreciate it if you took these things into consideration. As Benjamin Franklin so eloquently said, if we restrict liberty to attain security, we will lose them both. Thank you for your time.
Next is Tom DeCastro.
Good evening. Tom DeCastro, 30 West 9th Street. I think you all know who I am and why I'm here. I think we got to draw a line in the sand, and I hope with how long you were in executive session that was taken care of. But this ignoring state law, board policy, I don't understand it. You're complicit, you've done nothing, and you should have done something the minute that it happened. To sit and do nothing is wrong. I question the legitimacy of your presidency, Brandon's vice presidency, because you had to wait for the vote till your swing vote came. And you say there's no split in the board. Those votes tell you exactly where the split in the board is. And you can go back and you can look it up if you want to.
All I'm going to say, Tom, at this point is that I don't appreciate the
I'm sure you don't.
verging on the line of slander, things that you're accusing me of that are not true.
Slander.
And the only thing at this point in time that's been breached is your releasing information from an executive session to the public. So all the years that you spent on the board,
It's
I
been
think that's
public
what you should-
knowledge.
You made
People have been talking about it long
Thank you.
before
We're
it
taking
even
care of
came
it, just
to the
as we
board.
have from the beginning, but I would appreciate that you stop with your it's just a waste of time, because we are taking care of it, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. I have from the get-go, and continue to come to me.
No, I was here from the get-go. You were not doing it. So don't put something out that isn't true.
It is true, Tom.
No, it isn't. You know it, I know it. The people sitting here know it too. It's time that it's taken care of.
It's been taken care of.
Sure.
Next on the agenda is unfinished business. A is the mentoring exit survey.
You will see when I bring the mentoring handbook forward to be board approved at the next board meeting that the online survey is in the mentoring handbook, that all mentees are required to complete an online survey. And also I told them today, we had our new teacher institute, and I pointed that out in the handbook that they will be completing an online survey when it is done. So that survey had been created in the past, and we're just going to revive and bring it back. So we will be doing it on the survey. Yep.
Any other questions for Carrie? Next is Central New York State School Boards Association.
So I think what we need to, we started the discussion at the last meeting when Charlie Borignoni came. He spoke to the board about his offer for us to come back with the association. And I think that he did a great job explaining all of the benefits that we would get as a board, and actually for some benefits with getting the free training that Tom took, and then also the extension of free training throughout the rest of this year. So I think even thinking about forward and with our upcoming workshop to work on our board goals as well as the district goals, that this is a great opportunity to be like, hey, let's beef up some of our training, because we get it for free, so I can take advantage of this. So I think at this point, we have to make a motion to agree that we would like to accept their offer and have membership with Central New York.
Well, it's gonna, do we want to have just discussion now and just poll everybody?
Yep.
You see where everybody is
Uh-huh.
on it in terms of
Yep,
that?
absolutely.
Yeah, it's not, I was just gonna say, it's not necessary to have a motion. We just need to have a conversation and consensus.
Consensus.
We can decide.
You want that?
If we want to or we don't.
Pros and cons, whatever you think.
Wasn't it also offered to us at a half price?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so not only we finish the year, the next year is half price, and
Right.
they represent us.
Right, they,
Yeah.
in our
At the
local
state level,
region,
it's the
so.
local region, yeah.
This year's half price.
I understand.
Right.
Yep.
But I think if we look at it and we find out the benefits by taking advantage of the training and then also getting it at half price for the year to see what other resources they can open up for us, because I know in the state board that we're in, they're looking on the federal level a lot, but if we can find the local and state level resources through them, that would be great.
Yeah.
I encourage it. I think it's a good choice for us to.
Brian, what do you think?
I'm for it.
That's it?
You're up.
I'm okay with it, but I think that we should revisit it every year.
Yeah.
Because as we come up with the budget, we're looking at saving money somewhere, so
Yeah.
let's do the half year, the year for the half
Right.
price, and then revisit it each year.
Yeah.
I agree with everything that everyone's saying, and I think when revisiting it too, like being members of both, we can weigh the pros and cons of what we think is more value to us, and then if we do decide to go with just one, then we can talk about that.
Right. And I know that I still have to take the financial aspect of the training, so that'll be one thing that certainly we can do. So
Right.
at the end of the year, just reevaluate the actual cost and what we got received in training, and then if they opened us to any type of resources.
Yeah. Very good.
And I think last year, the only reason, Sam, I agree with you, we talked about it was around budgeting, it was around the cost of it. So, I mean, them coming out with a half price and then offering this free training, it's something we should entertain. But I agree, it's something we should look at every year.
You recall, we went back into the New York State School Board, the same kind of deal.
Because they
Pulled out, they wanted us back, they offered us a year. Give it up.
What's the fiscal year for it, Nancy, do you know?
It's for the current year.
Right, does it go January to?
July to June.
July to June? I'd be in favor of it, but I think you should push for another year at half price. Ask them to do 2 years at half price and consider doing it. It can't hurt to try to negotiate.
Who's gonna ask you, Amy?
Yeah, I'll ask, yep. I'll make a note of that.
Year and a half price.
Any other discussion? Next is Visitation Liaison Committee.
Okay, I just wanted to revisit this because I feel like we kind of hit a crossroads, and I just wanted to, I guess, reiterate my point and my feelings on this. I forward to all of you the policies that came up in question at the previous board meeting, and that there is, in fact, it's called the Visitation Committee. And I guess that my thinking of what we needed going forward really had to do with providing equity for all of the schools in our district. Because, like I said, not that I'm trying to micromanage and say, well, you know, you're not going to be the rep for the middle school, so you can't go to any of their functions. But what I'm saying is that there's someone who is going to be a liaison to each school, so every school has representation equally. And, you know, not everybody goes to the middle school and the high school and KPS, just say. And the other schools don't get as much. So with that being said, I would like to go forward with that. And I did, in fact, talk to, like I said in the last meeting, Brian, Brandon, Jim and Tom as far as what their first and second choices were. And so then we could just appoint the other two to Sam and Kathleen. And basically, you know, we don't need to hash out in an open board meeting all of the things, but basically what it would be is that whatever school you were the liaison to, then you would be the point person for the principal. That if something was going on, that they would say to you, this is what's going on, if you could get someone to come, or you could come, or whatever, and then that puts the responsibility on one person versus the whole board. And then maybe everybody's assuming someone else is gonna go, and then nobody shows up to something that Kara's doing at her school. So, like, I'm trying to avoid that scenario from happening. And it's nothing more than that, it's just to provide equity for all of the schools, that they have representation from us equally. So, I guess we can go around and everybody can say what they think, and then I can give you the schools that everybody requested. So, start with Jim.
Just that, happy you said the OHS, and that I'd be the response to them, and I'm excited to see what we can do.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. My comment was specific to the assignment I requested OHS, and to be the liaison between the board, and excited, looking forward to working with it.
Thanks. Brian?
I had talked to, that's why I didn't say much before. I talked to a couple school board presidents who recall when this or something similar to this was done in the past. And they spoke favorably of it, that they had mentioned that the particular board member who was involved with that school really came to everything. Not that, you know, we don't all make our best effort to attend everything we possibly can, but really seemed to make a difference, that they made their presence known. And so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great idea. And where am I?
KPS.
Yes. So I'm KPS.
I think at the last meeting when we talked about this, I think I expressed my feelings on it. I think, and I'm not sure if I took your words out of context or what, but when you talked about a board member, whoever is assigned to that school, interacting with the principal about an issue or whatever, I don't think that's our role. I think that's the principal
No, I don't think
administration.
that wasn't at all.
Did I misunderstand that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right then.
No,
I
it was
correct.
simply just, like I said, provide equity and yeah, go to events, provide that direct line of communication, rather than, you know, we all get a mass email and then everybody's like, oh, well, I'm sure someone's gonna go, and then you hear nobody went, and then you feel bad. Like this way
Okay,
we
I
have.
apologize, I misunderstood what you said. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, like I said before, I'm gonna go to, if I'm invited by whatever building to go to a function, I'm gonna go. If I'm available, I'll go.
Yep. And I think that, and kind of the good thing with this would be, you know, so say you were at OMS and, you know, you couldn't make the event, that at least you could reach out to a board member and say, hey, Mary Beth or Samantha, let me know about such and such event. I can't make it. Could you? And then it's just that double, it checks and balances to make sure that, you know, I guess was.
Is that going to mean now that, like now we get a global invitation, like it's a 6th grade graduation, the board gets a global invitation, are those gonna go away now, and only the one board member
No,
will
I
be?
think we can still do that, but I think there's a lot of little things that happen on a regular basis where they wanna spotlight something that's going on. That I think it would be easier if they contact one individual board member, and then we can bring it back to the board and be like, wow, I went to whatever. And, you know, I think I want to focus on the positive things that are going on in our district, and I think that this is a great way for us to be able to get in the schools and see firsthand and come back and then share with each other what we see on a regular basis and focus on the positives, because there's a lot of them going on. So that's really my whole focus.
Okay.
So OMS, okay with you?
Fine.
Okay. I'm obviously good with it, so, and I will be Minetto.
I'm also good with it. One thing, Dean, I would encourage is we keep going from school to school like we have had.
We are doing that, yes.
That's fantastic. I like going and
One
visiting.
meeting a month will be in one of the 7 schools.
Great. I don't want that to go away. It does allow engagement, and allows us to be more involved in each school. And for me, when obviously I have time constraints sometimes, at least I can get something on a schedule ahead of time and make a point to be there. So for me, it works out from a scheduling standpoint, and I'll be liaison for Riley.
I think it's great, and I'm going to be over at Fitzhugh, I think I was glad to hear it won't preclude us going around to the other facilities for the monthly meetings, because I think that's great. And Dave Crispoli, I spoke with already and started to do a tour of the facilities and to reach out and just find out as much as I can. So I'm excited about it. Is there any Fitzhugh people here tonight? Score. We're all together. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. So I guess that leaves me with Layton, which is the one that I would have requested to begin with. I would have requested it. That would have been my priority. No offense to anybody else, but my kids were, I have Layton kids. But yeah, and again, my concern with, was kind of what Sam's was, is that I don't want to not get invited to Minetto's graduation, and and I wanted the freedom of going into other buildings without people feeling like, oh my gosh, what's she doing here? She's not our rep. So that's my concern, that we don't get any of that, because that's not what it's supposed to do. So.
That's everything for that. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is Facilities Capital Project Committee discussion. Would there be any discussion from the?
I guess I can address that quick. Tom, you want me to?
No.
Since the superintendent's report tonight is a tour of, and largely the work of the facilities committee is our most active committee, and we meet bi-weekly. And after the capital project vote, we focused largely on the capital project work here at Oswego High School. And we could report out the progress and intricacies of all those types of things, but we thought, since we were on site tonight, that I would lead you in a tour of the work that's been ongoing, not only in the NOC to house our technology infrastructure and staff, but also the new really exciting main office and central point of entry. So we're going to do that in a few minutes. But if somebody in the facilities committee wants to add more to that, you can. We've been having a lot of talk about facilities.
Yeah, no, I think as we go through, we can speak about what, the process and how it's gone along in each location.
Yes.
Any other comments? Okay. Next is Board of Education, a student representative to the Oswego City School District Board of Education for the 2018-19 school year, whereas each school year the Oswego City School District elects one student representative to serve a one-year term on the Oswego City School District Board of Education, and whereas the student is a representative to the Oswego City School District student population and play an active leadership role. Whereas the Oswego City School District of Education accepts the student representative and expects active participation as a non-voting Board of Education member, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education endorses the selection of Elise Monicha as the student representative according to the established guidelines. That the Board of Education appoint Elise Monicha as student representative to the Oswego City School District Board of Education. Could I have a motion? Any discussion?
Is she here tonight?
She is not. She could not make it tonight, but she will be at the September 4th board meeting.
Okay, and just looking what you read where it says that whereas the Oswego City School District Board of Education accepts blah 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 and expects active participation, I would like to. I know I requested this at the last meeting. If we could add a section for her that is her spot to share something, I think that would help ensure that she has a spot to be actively engaged in our conversations and bringing things from the student perspective.
think that if we do that, I just would add that we should put a gate in place so that bi-weekly, whatever her report is to the board, that she either meet with Pat and just go over what her report might be, just to have some adult.
Some sort of preview.
We need a gatekeeper, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, wouldn't the board do that? I mean,
Well, you wouldn't know it until it was on the agenda, but she could sit and talk with Pat and say, I'd like to talk about the 10th grade field trip, or I'd like to report out on something else. And Pat could be the gatekeeper for a student not reporting something that was sensitive to their perception, and see in some details. That's all. Yeah. Yeah, Pat.
so I think maybe if we added like right in that, you know, right after the committee reports, maybe have her.
Is everyone in agreement?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is proposed board policy that the Board of Education review and approve the second and final reading of board policies listed below. 5660, meal charging and prohibition against meal shaming policy. 5640, smoking, tobacco use. 5670, records management. 7222, diploma and credential options for students with disabilities. 7320, alcohol, tobacco, drugs, and other substances. 7520, accidents and medical emergencies. And 7670, due process complaints, elections, and board appointment of impartial hearing officers. Any discussion?
Tom, provide some feedback on some weird wording.
Oh, it's just, yeah, the medical emergencies.
We reviewed that. Did you? Yeah.
So you did already?
I think that, are you talking about that first sentence near the bottom of the policy that looks like it's missing a period?
No, I was talking about transporting an ill or injured student. That one?
Read it again.
It reads, as it reads, it goes, in the event of an illness or injury to a student, an ambulance may be called. The district will make all reasonable attempts to contact the parent or person in parental relation when determining if emergency treatment is necessary. And it just kind of read a little clunkily, that, just out, and I just flipped it. So it would read, in the event of an illness or injury to a student, the district will make all reasonable attempts to contact the parent or parental relation when determining if emergency treatment is required or an ambulance needs to be called. Just one sentence, just flipping it. Or an ambulance needs to be called. Just moving it around, because right now it's kind of just hanging there.
So we would request a motion for an amendment to the reading, and then we would make the change and send it to Erie 1. So we would need a motion to amend that paragraph. It's just a word change.
Yeah, it's just a word change. It's not like
We can still vote on it. We can.
We're going to vote,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
still vote on it, but we need to make a motion to accept this change.
Could I have a motion for amendment, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Brandon?
Then we need to send revision to Erie 1, 7%.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So now we need to have the whole thing, because that was just the amendment, and then
Yeah.
we're going to vote to accept it as amended, right?
Now that we've amended it, we can, we approved them all as a batch. When I brought it closer, I lowered my voice. So now we approve 1 through 7 with the amendment. With the amendment.
At this time, could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is, wait, Karen, sorry. I know that this was approved, just one thing.
Yeah.
It's the winner.
The smoking and tobacco use, it's my understanding that not all the schools are consistent with what the discipline is for those, if somebody's caught doing whatever. How can that happen that there's more consistency with every school having the same punishments for kids that are
Well,
caught.
the code of conduct lays out the progression of discipline, and creates a balance between an element of reteaching and discipline. I think the best way to do that is to continue to build a collaborative relationship in middle and high school. We don't have a lot of this that comes through the elementary.
Right.
But through middle,
But
through
even
middle
through the
and high
middle school
school.
and high school,
Yes.
there's a big variation between offenses.
And that's something that, that Heidi and Mary Beth and Pat can talk about, sit and talk about.
Dr. Duffy is getting together the code of conduct committee, so that can be something that we add to this for discussion.
Okay.
Now, in speaking about, and I know I've asked this a couple of times, different variations of this question, but with the code of conduct, when would, it seems as though, like, when you read it, I think it's like every 2 years that it's revised. And I know the last provision that we had, it was simply the names that were changed. So when would a committee, I mean, would that be this year? I mean, a committee would be formed to go over, because I agree with you, I think that there are some discrepancies with certain things, and I think if we can streamline and make sure.
Yes.
Dr. Duffy had reached out for the representatives, so he connected with some building principals, and we're getting the names underway so that we can meet, revise whatever we need to revise. We take into account changes in policy, sometimes changes in New York State law, and then we update where we need to update. But we can definitely talk about more consistent occurrence. And sometimes, I mean, there is some always gray area in the code of conduct in how principals determine consequences, because while it's typically a 2-day suspension or something comparable, it could also be a situation where this might be the 3rd time of the same offense, so there's maybe more of a discussion happening. So I think there's a lot of discretion at the principal level in terms of determining the consequence.
In that group of people who sit on this committee, it's comprised of people from within the school district, obviously, and then also parents
and
students, and
Administrators.
Yep.
So it's, if you look at our last one, you'll see at the very beginning, there's a section where it talks about the members of the committee, and each time it's been.
Yeah.
So then we replace parents and students as we need to. Teacher reps come on and off depending on some of their other commitments.
Mm-hmm.
As administrators change, we invite them to be part of it.
Okay, just making sure we have like
A broad
section. Okay, thank you.
Next, sorry, I'll try and speak loudly. Reduction of appropriated fund balance, that the Board of Education approved the reduction of the appropriated fund balance from $1,718,616 to $1 million to support the 2018-19 budget. This will keep the tax rate the same as the 2017-18 school year at $20.46 per $1,000 of an assessed value. If I could have a motion? Or is there any discussion?
I don't know if Nancy, if you have anything further to explain. I just had a couple of questions. Like, does this change, does this increase change the tax cap?
No, if we do this change, we still remain under the tax cap.
Okay, so that was my one question, so thank you for that. And then the other thing is, like, would one municipality be more adversely affected than another with this, or is this?
No, it has to do with the equalization rate in the town of Scriba, going up to 100%.
Okay.
Their assessments went up $26 million. So that helped us to reduce the amount of appropriated fund balance that we were going to use to support the budget.
Okay.
It
So
was due to the change in the equalization rate.
Tax rate will remain exactly the same regardless of where you live on 100,000. And even with the reduction of that 700 and some plus dollars from what we originally planned, it would still allow us to stay at the same $20.46 rate that we promised the taxpayers.
Right, by doing the
Yep.
less, the 700,000 versus, and I forgot the rest of it I was gonna say. So as far as so the 700 would stay where it is, 700,000. So there's no, like, that doesn't need to go into, like, you know what I'm saying?
It would just
How to-
stay in our fund balance.
Okay, so it wouldn't have to go to a reserve to offset, like, we're not taking in more money than what we said we were gonna take in.
No,
Okay.
no,
We're
this-
spending less.
Spending less, okay, that's just what I wanted to make sure that I was clear, you know, going through all that.
And it gives us a couple options because the budget is so tight this year, because we went up for 0%, we have an ongoing list in the business and finance office of things that pop up that we might need, like a week or so ago, it was an additional foreign language teacher. And so this is money we can really use, not only for now, or roll it over into a gap that we might have in the next budget. So it stays in our fund, it stays in our.
And we're not
in our
exceeding
fund.
any recommended limits or,
No,
thank you.
not that we know of at this time.
Yeah.
Is that, as far as Oswego Town is the only area that's not, is it 96% valuation?
Correct.
And when does that come into, does it go to 100% or does it not?
That's not up to us, that's up to the towns, and working with New York State Department of Taxation and Finance. So we don't have any input into that at all.
So Scriba coming online was the result of that relationship between the state and
Yes,
Scriba?
they tried to do it last year, it didn't go through, they actually petitioned to the state and lost that petition.
Thank you.
Any other questions? May I have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is recommended actions that the Board of Education appoint Lisa Kimball, community member, to the audit committee for the 2018 school year. Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Tom?
No, I just had a question, and just for me, is this out of the ordinary to bring someone from, bring one onto the committee like that? Okay.
No, yeah, actually,
Recommended.
yeah, if you look at our audit policy, it said the recommendation of our own school district policy is that our audit committee be comprised of people with specific knowledge in finance and such. So to have a person like her to volunteer is
And when you
really
take
great
your,
for us.
when you take your finance training,
Oh, that's why I missed it.
it's part of that. It's part of that.
And we haven't had one in several years, but if you go back, at least before my time as superintendent, there were periods of time where we had community members sit on that committee.
And there were times we had difficulty trying to get somebody.
Right.
In those years, we didn't have it.
Yeah. So no, I'm very appreciative that she's willing to do it. I think she'll be a great addition.
Could I have a motion, please?
Move.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we'll move to the superintendent's report.
The superintendent's report, as I mentioned earlier, is going to be a guided tour of all the work that we've been doing this year. As you recall, we went out for voter approval on 2 capital projects 2 years ago. One was for the repurposing of Layton Elementary School for the use of central offices, and the other was to make some major revisions here at OHS to provide a single point of entry, and that we were the only school in the district that did not have a safe and secure single point of entry where people would have to be either credentialed in or buzzed in from a single station at the main office. And so, as you know, the work got done at Layton last year, and we really got things rolling this summer. Part of this renovation is not only the move from the main office at the high school to a newly created central main office at the front of the building, but also to move our technology staff and infrastructure into not only the existing main office for our technology staff, Jamie and all his staff, but also to repurpose some space behind that to create the NOC, which is the hub of observers and some support staff around technology, and we've made tremendous progress, and we're excited to show, it's a work zone, but we're excited to show you the progress not only in the NOC, but also in the new main office. So we're going to take a walking tour.
And can I make a suggestion? Just a thought. I want to do this tour, and I want anybody that wants to come along with it, but can we conduct the business of the board and then do it at the end of the meeting?
Sure.
Because some of these people, they
Yeah,
want to go
that's
home.
That's a good idea.
Say thank you.
So we're going on with the superintendent's report.
You applauded. Would there be any other items for the superintendent's report?
No.
Then we'll move to consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of August 7th and the special education report, August 21st, 2018. Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There will be no items from curriculum tonight, so we will move to personnel with Dr. Sweeney.
A, support staff retirement. Whereas Alice Bristol has served the students and staff of this school district for the period of October 26, 1971 to the present, and has been a most responsible, conscientious, and dedicated staff member in service to the school district. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of the Oswego City School District hereby acknowledge the faithful service of Ms. Bristol upon accepting her resignation for the purpose of retirement from the position of teacher aide effective August 31st, 2018, and we express our grateful appreciation to her.
Any discussion?
I'd like to just say that Alice has been one of our longest serving employees in our district. Her entire time in our district has been at Minetto Elementary School before the building even looked like it looks today. In fact, I remember her as a Minetto student working as a teacher aide and lunch monitor at Minetto. And it was a pleasure during my 6 years as principal at Minetto. Alice was just tremendous to work for, and she's opted not to be recognized by the board in an open meeting, but I have been invited to an event at Minetto in a few weeks where we will recognize her in the way that's fitting for her.
Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B, support staff retirement. Whereas Diane Mitchelson has served the students and staff of this school district for the period November 6, 2002 to the present, and has been a most responsible, conscientious, and dedicated staff member in service to the school district. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of the Oswego City School District hereby acknowledge the faithful service of Ms. Mitchelson upon accepting her resignation for the purpose of retirement from the position of custodian effective August 31st, 2018, and we express our grateful appreciation to her.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C, professional staff recommendation, administrative intern, Deborah Kasmer. She is a physical education teacher here at the Oswego High School, and she's going to conduct her administrative internship on a half-day basis, also here at the high school.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D, professional staff recommendation, resignation, Jill Sawyer, elementary teacher, Minetto, effective August 15, 2018.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E, professional staff recommendation, leaves of absence, Stephanie Dawson, elementary teacher at Riley. Stephanie is serving as a regular sub in the literacy position, also at Riley. And Jessica Slight, who is a teaching assistant at the Oswego Middle School, and she's serving as a long-term substitute teacher at Ritchie Park for the fall semester.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
F, professional staff recommendation, probationary teachers. Jenna Earl, special education tenure area at Layton School,
effective 9/1 with a tenure date of 9/1/22. Melissa Barlow-Gorman, tenure area literacy. She is split between Layton and Minetto, effective 9/1 with a tenure date of 9/1/22. And Carrie Joyce, this is a correction for her tenure area only. She was appointed into the position, but there's a memo explaining that she has the literacy background, but not the literacy certification. So we just want to make it clear that she has moved back to the correct tenure area. So I'll read the resolution. Be it further resolved that the probationary expiration date will depend on the individual teacher's APPR ratings, and therefore be it further resolved that to receive tenure, the individual must receive overall APPR ratings of effective or highly effective in at least 3 of the 4 preceding areas, and therefore be it further resolved that if the teacher receives an ineffective composite or overall APPR rating in their final year of probation, they will not be eligible for tenure at that time. And I just realized Carrie should not have a tenure date of the 9/1/22. She's already tenured, so we'll just strike that.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
G, professional staff recommendation, probationary TAs. Stacy Lamana, teaching assistant level 1 at the high school, and Jacqueline O'Brien, teaching assistant level 1 at Riley.
Any discussion? Motion? No. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
H, extra compensatory recommendations, OHS, as presented. In case anyone has any questions, you're welcome to ask. As a group, extra comps for the high school.
Could I have a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I, extra compensatory recommendation, district-wide, our art co-team leader positions for Rebecca Woods and Stacy Van Walden.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
J, extra compensatory recommendation, OHS winter sports, boys varsity ice hockey head coach Kevin Ahern, and boys varsity swimming and diving head coach Josh Lurch.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
K, extra compensatory recommendation, fall sports, modified football assistant coach Corey McTagg.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
L, extracurricular volunteer recommendation, girls varsity soccer, Jody Pester Smith, and boys JV and varsity soccer, Scott Dose.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
M, support staff recommendation, leaves of absence, Christina DeStevens, teacher aide part-time KPS, and Sherry Lawton, health office assistant part-time OHS. Both ladies are serving in another role in the district.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
N, support staff recommendations, permanent appointment, Megan Wilson, senior typist at the high school.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And O, our substitute and temporary employees as presented.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Tom? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we'll move to finance with Nancy Squires.
There's one item on the agenda. It is a budget transfer for the amount of $3,900, and we're transferring that from special education supply line to special education equipment. It's to provide mobility equipment for 2 special needs students.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda is items from the board. Would any board members have any items?
I just have
I do. I have a, Could we have Pat kind of explain, since the students came and spoke about what brought you to that, to the backpack conclusion, and, how you came to that decision, and
If I may, request, could I do that executive session, please, an executive session situation?
I don't think it would fall under.
If it's understood,
But it's not specific to a student.
you have some supporting data that I think you would like to share.
Yes, I would like to share with the board, not public. It's all, excuse me. It's all based about safety concerns that were brought up by staff and students.
sure.
And there's other things that I would be willing to share.
Right.
What I was going to suggest too is that, and I forgot to say it when all the students finished speaking because we went on to someone else, but Pat has a really good track record of being available to meet with, groups of students. We certainly, Pat and I worked with student groups a lot last year on safety and security and concerns that they had about those walkout days. And I, met with Pat about this matter yesterday and today. And I think that what's most important is that he reach out and have a dialogue, a roundtable with students, and so they can share their concerns like they shared tonight, because he's very open to those types of conversations. And maybe probably tonight's not the night to go to another executive session to have them talk about that.
But in my letter, if I could just interject,
Yes.
in my letter I put, please contact me if you have any questions. And I have been getting contacts from parents, and I've responded to parents. I had a meeting set up with a parent on Friday. And I am very proud of the students using the democratic process today. We can be very proud of that because they did a great job. And I also complimented them on and I'll also be contacting them. So this is something definitely we could discuss and come up with a solution for.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, just in order for us to, get behind it and be able to support, which, I certainly see value in. I think we need to have that discussion, so we're all on the same page,
And maybe the September lunch with the superintendent could be the topic of that.
Yes.
I think
We haven't set those agendas yet.
And I think in general, Pat probably, because we've had a lot of discussions about this, has three general areas. One is some student discipline concerns. That might be the area you'd like to share privately. The second is classroom safety and the idea that 20 to 25 students in a classroom, all with their backpacks in the aisles and around the room, makes it very difficult to maneuver the teacher. In teaching, the students getting up, moving around the room themselves if there's an emergency to get to that area of the classroom quickly. And also student health. There is a lot to be said for the fact that these young kids are still growing and they're carrying around upwards of 20 pounds, 30 pounds sometimes of books and binders on their backs all day long, and it's not really good for their overall health.
So maybe,
I think it's good to have dialogue, especially so people know what's driving.
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe Pat
And
can
it's
generate a
also
report
important
to submit to
for
you
the
guys.
public to know, and those girls to know that we are inquiring
Yes.
why it's
Absolutely.
not just dropped, because sometimes
And,
that does happen with people coming to the board to speak, and then you never hear from them again, nothing's done.
Anytime
So,
students address the board, we follow up with them.
Just students?
Students. We'll either call them in, tell them not to do that. No, we have lunch with them.
No, once again, I'm very,
Really good.
I'm very proud of them for exercising the democratic process, and I will reach out to them and we'll have a discussion.
Pat, maybe you could submit a memo to the board detailing the thought process behind it so that they're in the loop on that and follow up after we meet with the kids.
Okay.
And like I was talking to Brian yesterday about this, and Brian said, we're criticized for not providing enough safety, and then this happens, and then, criticized for that. So it's just kind of trying to find, the reasons why and how to justify it to people that say something.
Thank you.
Can I just ask a question before you leave? One of the things I'm told is that when the dogs come in to sweep the buildings, they're not allowed to go into the classrooms. Is that correct?
They're not. They're not to have any contact when they do students at all. One thing we have to make sure is when the dogs come through, we have to lock everybody down. We go into a lockdown situation, and dogs are not permitted in any kind of human contact. And they have their backpacks in the classroom.
Well, that's an issue. More than that.
So anything that we might perhaps be looking for are in the classrooms.
Why is that? Why are the dogs not allowed?
It's just policy.
Is it a state?
It's also to protect students from being illegally searched and seized with an officer. We have certain discretion as school administrators that police don't. So if the idea is the dogs are ever going to go into the classroom where the students are, we could be targeting certain classrooms and certain students, and that's prohibited.
Dogs can get on whatever it gets on.
In the law.
Law enforcement's not.
Who's library?
I'm sorry, I was thinking that, because I was here one day when the dogs came in, and I was thinking there was a time when what they did was they cleared the room. The kids were told to leave their backpacks there, and they cleared the room, but their backpacks were in there, and then the dogs went into the room, because before that they were just doing the halls.
That
So
might be
that's,
very specific
I was just thinking,
situation.
yeah, no, they identified a locker, and they knew which classroom, so that's,
And we
I
have
was thinking
allergy,
the kids were in there too.
allergy issues too.
That's interesting.
But I would be more than happy to provide on what we can.
And how often do we do that? Or how often is that with the dogs? Is that
We don't really discuss that.
No, I mean,
We do it 2 or 3 times.
it's random, okay.
It's random.
Thank you.
One thing, maybe you can tell us exactly, some of the, the kids who came up with some possible solutions to this, and a number of them talked about that it's 5 minutes between classes.
I can't hear you.
That's kind of obligated because the structure of our schedule is so tight. We want to extend the school day.
Thank you, Tom. So my question was that a lot of the kids referred to the 5 minutes. And of course, in my brain, I'm thinking back when we were in school, how many minutes did we have?
We had 4 then,
We had 4?
and 1,600 students in the building,
And we did not
1,600
carry
plus,
this.
and nobody
At
carried
all.
it.
And we went back, so I was just, in my head, I was thinking like, is that a point? Because my recollection is that I had enough time to get, so I think it's just a change of times and what they're used to, and it's so.
There's also been additions in the buildings. The building's a little bit bigger than it was when you went here, right?
Right.
A little
Yeah,
bit, you know,
a little
there's the
bit, but not-
science loop, but really the footprint of the building is about the same as when we went here.
Yeah.
And I think there are some misunderstandings. I don't think there's any intention to say that students have to carry all of their gym clothes and sneakers barehanded.
Oh, that just made me think of another thing.
You know, if they have their gym apparel in a little stuff sack and they're walking down to the gym to put it in their other locker, I don't think that that was the intention to restrict that type of, it's the big backpacks that they're carrying around.
Okay,
all day
I was
long.
going to ask that, because I was wondering too, don't they have gym lockers?
They do.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I did, was left my stuff in my gym locker.
Yeah, and
So-
just like the one girl pointed out, you know, you might change it out once a week or so.
Right,
so-
right. Okay.
So the district could sell their backpacks and the proceeds could go toward the capital project.
Yeah, possibly. Okay, I think that's everything, but thank you very much. I just had a couple things. I made these little folders for you guys. A couple things that just keep coming up. So I just put the information in there. Some of it has to do with our upcoming workshop. And I just kind of gave in response to your question about a facilitator and just what we did last year as far as setting the district goals and looking at board growth and what we wanted to accomplish as a board. Both of those, it was kind of twofold. That's what we did. So I just kind of outlined that. I also included in here It was provided by our lawyers on board and superintendent responsibilities. It's very simple, one-pager, easy to refer to. And then I included timelines for our self-board evaluation as well as the superintendent evaluation. I included our district goals from last year so that we can all refer to those before we meet on the, we agree, it's the 28th or the 27th.
I didn't get a response from Kathleen, Brandon, and Jim.
No, I told you yesterday, I'm good either or.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, Brandon, no, I was waiting because the email that I put in response was just about having somebody come in who is experienced in that and knows what, and has a lot of experience in education and could kind of facilitate that a little bit better than us as volunteers could. Even with all of Sam's experience, it's just helpful to have somebody from the outside to come in and work with us through that, just to keep us focused on what appropriate, instead of us everybody Googling, what are good board goals or whatever. I was just thinking that would be a helpful thing.
Some of that information, so this may be helpful and may be enough to give us a jump start. If not, I mean, we can certainly
I
look
did.
into.
I did follow up because I saw the email from Kathleen and the email from Karen. I sent an email to Chris Todd, the district superintendent. I sent an email to Chris Todd, district superintendent. I tried to rack my brain about who would be good at facilitating something like that, who had been familiar with our district and also has a long educational history, not only working with boards, but as a superintendent. And Gary Mix, who was our interim superintendent before Ben Halsey's name came up, I asked Chris Todd if he thought that he would be a good person to work with our board to develop board and district goals, and he thought that was an excellent choice. That's where that ended. Right? And I was going to put that out to you in email, but today was wrapped up with the teacher orientation, so I didn't get to
And I
it.
can also reach out to Charlie Bordignoni, your Central New York School Board, and see who he recommends. But I mean, I'm open to whatever.
Yeah.
I think that these, you can look through those, and certainly there's ideas or whatever. And we did it on our own last year, and I think we came up with some pretty good goals. But
I was just thinking in the interest of saving time, that if we can consolidate, both of what you're thinking, then we could just, get it all done. But, I mean, Chris Todd, he's the one that brought Gary in to begin with, so.
That's why I asked him, because he was your search consultant at the time. He brought Gary in as the interim superintendent for about 6 months between Bill Kristen and Ben.
So Amy, at this time, there's 6 board members that can make Monday, and there's 6 board members that can make Tuesday. They're just different ones that can't make it. So I don't know which day that you guys would want.
yeah, because I think we need full board participation.
It's 27, 28.
It's Monday and Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
I'm sorry?
Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or
Monday
Tuesday.
and Tuesday.
Correct.
Correct.
So,
Well, I mean, how does everybody else feel about having somebody, having a Gary, come in and assist with this?
I mean, I guess speaking from last year, I think for us, it was kind of nice to really everybody share their ideas and their own visions and goals. And there was, not to say that he's going to create a pressure, and I'm not saying I'm completely against it, but I think for us it was a good opportunity to almost bond. I don't know.
I'm a little bit confused. I thought at one time we were talking about having a board retreat.
Right, and that's what I was thinking, we would use a facilitator for that. And I think to set our district goals, I think we can do that on our own, but that's I think it's two separate
I don't think we need to bring an outsider to set our goals, but I think we need the outside voice to help us who wants to retreat.
Yes, that's what I think.
Just don't want to do it backwards.
Huh?
I don't want to do it backwards.
But I think getting the advice of someone for
Well, the retreat is
Right.
different. That's all
That's
together,
just
different
about our
objectives.
overall
That's,
makeup.
yeah, our goals.
think, and that's what I'm saying, in the interest of saving time, instead of having 2 meetings scheduled, having him come in and do another meeting, why not just do it all at once? So then,
Yeah, I don't know, I think we keep them separate.
not necessarily. I mean,
And the other thing is time is of.
he's
is
very
of-
focused.
Time is of the essence with our goals because our district goals need to be set because Dean has said his goals are due September 15th. So we're already in the 11th hour. So we have to get this moving. And I'm completely open to doing a retreat. I mean, I've talked to a couple of retreats. But I think that we just do that on a separate occasion and that's our, board team building, retreat
Right.
facilitator.
And I guess I'm just going kind of go back to that with some communication issues that the boards have, that it might be a good idea to bring a facilitator in to kind of work through some of that, and then we can come together and do the goals. No, because Karen said that they're split.
Right.
So it's not like everybody can do one or the other anyway.
I guess we have to and then they can figure out if it's there. I don't, yeah, I agree.
No, Jim and I, either or. Yeah, so it doesn't matter.
So either,
I was one of the conflicts for the 28th.
I'm sorry?
I was the conflict for the 28th on the decision. My conflict's at 6 o'clock. We can be done by 6.
So maybe make it to start at 4.
I'm sure you guys all didn't want to hear you got to cut off at 6.
Can everyone
No, I
make the
think we need
28th
to
at
cut
4
off.
o'clock?
So 4 to 6.
Yeah,
4 to 6 on
I
the
think that's a good
28th,
idea.
and I will send out an email to remind you on Thursday, so
Okay.
we will not have internet.
Correct.
Okay?
What do we decide on 28?
4 to 6.
28th and 4. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Awesome, thank you.
Would there be any other items from the board tonight?
I was just going to quickly say thank you to the district who showed up last week in the city for the open house forum that we did for community services. And Oswego was very well represented, which I think was great because it was a lot of information to be dispersed. And being in that field, sometimes it's hard to reach out to all the districts because we are so busy during the regular school year. Being able to get that information out as to what is available for the schools. I was very well happy. I know the feedback we got from having representation.
Any other items? Would there be a need for another executive session? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that.
Second?
I'll second.
Tom? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You may adjourn.